الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم. أما بعد، رب اشرح لنا صدورنا ويسر لنا أمورنا واحلل عقدة من ألسنتنا يفقهوا قولنا. اللهم اهدنا لمراد أمورنا ونعوذ بك من شر أنفسنا. بسم الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ثم الأصل في هذا الباب هو الأداء كاملا كان أو ناقصا. Then the principle in this matter is that it's performed fully or incomplete. وإنما يصار إلى القضاء عند تعذر الأداء. That it will only go to qada when it is impossible to do أداء. ولهذا يتعين المال بالوديعة والوكالة والقصب، ولو أراد المودع والوكيل والغاصب أن يمسك العين ويدفع ما يماثله ليس له ذلك. So for this reason, the money will be required in trusting and entrusting and snatching. And if the trustee or the wakil or the ghasib intends to hold the item and he hands over what resembles it, it is not permissible for him. ولو باع.
So we were discussing the execution of the Amr, the carrying out of the Amr, which is of two types, either Ada or Qada. Think of Ada is of two types, Ada al-Kamil and Ada al-Qasir. Ada al-Kamil is where you fulfill what you have been instructed to do in the manner that you are supposed to do it. That's Ada al-Kamil. And Ada al-Qasir is where you carry out what you're supposed to do, but there is some deficiency in the quality of your performance. That's Ada al-Qasir. So at the end of the day, you are required to do Ada is preferred over Qada, irrespective of whether it's Ada al-Kamil or Ada al-Qasir. Ada al-Kamil, again, simple example, you go to Salah with Jama'ah and so forth, then that is Ada al-Kamil. Ada al-Qasir, for example, you left out Ta'adil al-Arkan, that is Ada al-Qasir. There is a deficiency in the quality of your Salah. But as far as the Huququllah is concerned, the Huququl Ibad is where you paid back somebody, for example, money, the like of the same quality to that person you borrowed it from. So that's Adal Kamil. Or if you paid him of a lesser quality currency, that would be Adal Qasim. Example of Adal Qasim with regards to Huququl Ibad. Then the hukam of this is that irrespective of whether it's Adal Kamil or Qasir, the person will stand absolved of having fulfilled his responsibility. We will count him to be one who has fulfilled his responsibility to the rightful recipient of that particular action, the one who ordered him to do the action in the first place. And with regards to the deficiency, if we are able to make up for the deficiency, we are able to compensate for the deficiency the Sharia has shown us a way, then we will do so. But if there's no way to compensate for that deficiency, then it will fall away. However, the person will still be sinful for that deficiency. There's to make tawbah and istighfar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. Now he's saying, ثم الأصل في هذا الباب هو الأداء كاملا كان أو ناقصا. That the basic principle or the fundamental principle in this chapter with regards to the execution, the carrying out of the amr, is ada. Ada is preferred over qada in simple terms. That you perform your duty as is expected of you, in the time it is expected of you, in the manner that is expected of you. This is preferred, irrespective whether it's ada'ul kamil or ada'ul naqis. وإنما يصار إلى القضاء إن تعذر الأداء. And the only time we will refer to qada, or the only time we will go to qada, is when it is difficult for us to carry out that action ada'an. Right? So ada is always preferred. The only time we will go to qada is when the ada is difficult to carry out. Either the time is expired or is not possible any longer and so forth, then we go to qada. Understood that?
Sure.
Right. Now, I want to add to this is a very, very important principle because all the masail coming will be dependent upon this principle. We will only go to qada when it is difficult for us to do ada. However, once we've gone to qada, we will not come back to ada. Okay? Once we have gone to the qada, we don't come back to the ada. So once the person has executed his duty qada'an, and it is done, we don't go back to ada due to circumstances which occurred after that. So that's a very important principle. All the masail coming after this, depending upon that. So I repeat that we will only go to qada. But ada is preferred over qada and as far as possible. And it is not possible for us to act upon the ada, then and only then will we go to qada. However, once we go to qada, we won't come back a second time to ada. You understood that?
जी
Yeah, clear?
जी
जी مولانا.
Right. ولهذا يتعين المال في الوديعة والوكالة والغصب. Right. It is for this principle, because of this principle, understand, that when we can't make ada, we will not go, or we'll say when it is, will not go to qada when it is possible to act upon ada. Based upon this principle, the money or the currency will become stipulated in these three instances. In the case of wadi'ah, in the case of wakala, and in the case of ghasab. Okay. Before you understand this, understand the background. I don't know if you did it in fiqh already, but in Kitab al-Buyu it is mentioned, al-mabi'u yata'ayyanu bit-ta'ayyun, والثمن لا يتعين والثمن لا يتعين. What it means is that if I go to the shop, right, and I say I want that chocolate for this 10 rand, and I hold out the 10 rand in my hand. Follow?
जी
Right. I want that chocolate log, for example, or the slab, walnut slab, for this 10 rand. Now, when the shopkeeper gives me the product, if I put that 10 rand in my pocket and I pull out a different 10 rand and give it to him, he can't object. Understand? If he gives me a different chocolate to the one that I'm pointing to, if, for example, he says, this chocolate here, I say, yes, that chocolate. He puts it under the counter and takes out another chocolate that's exactly the same. He says, here you go. I can say, no, I want the one I asked you for, one I pointed to, the one I specified, I want that one. When it comes to goods in Kitab al-Buyu, by you pointing it out or single it out, it becomes determined, it becomes fixed. You can't be swapped for another product, even though the other product is exactly the same. You can't do that. So المبيع يتعين بالتعين. In Kitab al-Buyu, this is the rule. However, money does not become specified because money is money. Money is money. It doesn't matter whether I give you this 10 rand or another 10 rand or give you 5 rand or give you 2 rand. That doesn't matter because at the end of the day, you're getting your price. You are getting what you are asking for the particular product. So even though I point to that specific note, I can replace it with another note of the life, of its life. You follow?
जी
You understood that? So this only applies to Kitab al-Buyu. However, the Ahnaf say that when it comes to these three occasions, then the money currency also becomes specified. The money also becomes specified. Right now, what is wadi'ah? Wadi'ah is where I keep something by you in trust. So Rashid, for example, Moulana Rashid, he goes to Moulana Luqman and tells him, you know what? I've got my wallet here. I don't feel safe. I've got 500 rand. You need to keep the wallet by you at home until I ask for it again. And so that's wadi'ah. You're keeping something in trust as safekeeping by somebody else. Now, when Rashid goes to fetch the money from Moulana Luqman, he can't say, okay, here's your wallet and here's other 500 rand. I used that 500 rand. I was short on money one day. So I used your 500 rand and I replaced it with my 500 rand. You can't do that. Okay? Because in this case, the money becomes specified. That same 500 rand that Moulana Rashid gave Moulana Luqman, he has to return that money to Moulana Rashid when he comes asking for it. So in this instance becomes specified, unlike in Kitab al-Buyu. Same thing applies to wakala. When I appoint somebody to do some work for me, a representative, so I'm sending somebody to the shop with some money. Understand? If he doesn't get the goods, he has to return that exact same money to me. He can't replace it with his own money, even though it's of the exact same value and whatever. He can't replace it. He must give me my money back to me. It comes specified. And with the ghasab is the same thing. And if the person took something of mine, he must return that exact same item of mine to me. You can't replace it with another item and say, yeah, it's exactly the same condition also. Here you go. No. He has to why? Because by replacing the item is as if you are going to qada, and because you are replacing it with a likeness of it. You're not replacing it with the exact type, which is what qada is. I think qada is to replace something with its likeness, not with its exact fixed quality and quantity. You follow?
G.
So when the money is there, then my money or the person who kept the money in trust is there. Then why are you giving some other money? You must make ada of it. You don't have to go. You can't go to qada. And the possibility to make ada is there. ولو أراد المودع Muda is the person with whom the money is kept, the trustee. Okay? Uh, so Mudi is the one, for example, Abdul Rashid in Moulana Rashid in our example is the Mudi, the kasra on the dal. And Moulana Luqman is the Muda, the one he kept the money by, with the fatha on the dal. So if the Muda wal wakil and the wakil, the representative, the person appointed to do that work for me, and the ghasib, if they intend what? أن يمسك أو أن يمسك العين ويدفع ما يماثله ليس له ذلك. If they intend to hold back the original item and hand over the likeness of that original item, they don't have the right to do that. Why? Because that is like you are going to qada, even though the ada is possible. Do you understand that?
G.
So we will not go to qada where ada is possible. That is the first half of the law I told you. The second half will come later on. G.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولو باع شيئا وسلمه فدار به عيب كان المشتري بالخيار بين الأخذ والترك فيه. And when he sells something and he hands it over and the fault appears with it, then the buyer will have a choice between taking it or leaving. وباعتبار أن الأصل هو الأداء يقول الشافعي الواجب على الغاصب رد العين مغصوبة. With the consideration that the primary principle, that is ada, Imam Shafi says that what is obligatory upon the ghasib is to retain the exact item which he snatched. وإن تغيرت بيد الغاصب تغيرا فاحشا, whether it have changed in the hands of the snatcher, shameful changing. ويجب الإرث بسبب النقصان. So the penalty fee will be wajib because of the decrease. وعلى هذا.
Okay, we can stop there. So now he's saying another example. ولو باع شيء. If a person purchases something, وسلمه, or sells something rather, and hands it over to the buyer. Okay? The person sells something, hands it over to the buyer, the client. فظهر به عيب. Then some fault becomes apparent in that product. كان المشتري بالخيار. The client, the purchaser, the customer has a choice. بين الأخذ والترك فيه. Either he can take the item for the amount that he paid, despite the defect, والترك فيه, and the second choice he has is to leave it. So either he takes it as is, or he leaves it and asks for his money back. He can't ask for the product to be replaced with what it's like. Because again, having the product replaced with its like is qada, understand? Whereas ada is possible even though it's ada al-qasid. Why is ada al-qasid? Because he gave you what you bought, what you wanted, but there's a defect in it, so there's a deficiency. So despite that, ada has taken place. If you're going to ask for the replacement, then you're going to qada, which is not correct, according to the madhab. Okay? So if somebody sells something and hands it over to the customer, the client, then a defect becomes apparent in that product. The mushtari, the client, the customer, he has a choice between taking it as is with the full price or leaving it and asking for his money back. Understood that?
Yeah.
Right. Well, now keeping this principle in mind, that ada is the original, or ada is the fundamental basic. Okay? Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, he follows through with it right away. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala, rahmatu wasi'ah, he says al-wajibu ala al-ghasib raddul ayn, that the compulsory duty of the ghasib, of the usurper, is to return the actual item which he snatched, which he took, which he forcefully took from the person. وإن تغيرت في يد الغاصب تغيرا فاحشا وإن is وصلية, even though that item which he took then changed in his hand, a major change, تغيرا فاحشا, major change, and a major change took place to that item while it was in his possession. Okay, what does this mean? Right, so a person stole something, right? But after stealing that thing, he made so much changes to that item that it no longer could be recognized as being the original item. For example, simple example, a person stole some, let's say some wheat, understand? He stole some wheat, or he stole like a goat, understand? And he took the wheat, he ground it and made it into flour and baked bread out of it. So now it's no longer wheat, it's completely changed. You don't even call it wheat anymore, we call it bread. Understood? Same thing with the goat that he stole. He sorted the goat, he made some nice braai out of it. So here also is completely changed. And so this is the غير فاحش. A major change has occurred to that item that he has taken, an extreme change, and has overtaken that item. You follow? So
Yeah.
even in that instance, Imam Shafi rahimahullah says that he must still return that bride meat, he must return it to the owner, and he must return that bread to the owner. Right? And then you will measure the difference between the two items from the original state to the altered state. So how much was the grain? Let's say, for example, the grains was, let's say, 20 rand, right? And how much is the bread? The bread is 10 rand. What's the difference?
Tender.
10 rand. So you must return the bread plus 10 rand. So that is called arsh. Follow? What
Yeah.
was
True.
the price of the sheep or the goat while it is alive? 500 rand. What's the price of the sheep now in this form here, in the form of the parai? 250, for example. So the difference of 250 you must give back to the person. So you must return the parai meat plus 250 to make up for the original price of the animal. Imam Shafi rahimahullah ta'ala, this is his ruling. Why? Because he says in this case here, although it is undergone a complete metamorphosis, a complete change, ada is still possible. Then ada is still possible, so you must make ada, even though it's costly. Understood?
Yeah.
True.
Right. Now we say our masala is that basically there are three instances where the ghasib won't return what he took. There are three instances where the ghasib becomes the owner of what he took. He won't be able to return it, so he becomes the owner, okay, by default. Number one is this one here, when there's extreme change to the item, you change the item to such a degree, it doesn't even remain in name also. That's the first instance. He becomes the owner of that item. He'll still be sinful by becoming the owner. Doesn't mean he can take benefit from it. He'll be sinful, and he obviously has to pay the qiymat. If it is something which has value, he has to pay the value of it, the full value of it, and before he can make any use of it. But he becomes the owner of it, right? Number two is if he adds it to his wealth, his own personal belongings, in such a way it can't be separated. For example, he stole some cement and he went and built a wall with it, with his own bricks. He built a wall. Now, are you going to separate these bricks from the cement? You can't do that. It's impossible. And even if you do manage to separate the cement, it's no longer not usable. So in this case here also, it's the second instance where where he becomes the owner of that item, but he must pay the value of it. And he's sinful also, he must make tawbah. And the third instance is he has added it to his own belongings. It can be separated, but only with very great difficulty. Okay? So those, again, I'll mention it again, the three instances where the ghasib becomes the owner of the thing that he snatched, that he forcefully took from somebody. Number one, if he has altered the thing to a very great extent, he has changed the item to a very great extent that basically the name doesn't even be made. Number two, he's added it to his personal wealth in such a way, or his personal belonging in such a way it cannot be separated. Number three, he has added it to his personal wealth or belonging in such a way it can be separated, but only with very, very great difficulty. So in these three instances, he becomes the owner. He'll have to pay, if it's something which has value, he has to pay the value of it, and you'll be sinful, he must make tawbah. Shafi Rahman says no. Even in the case of Taghyir al-Fahish, he must make ada, ويجب الأرش بسبب النقصان, and he must pay the penalty, meaning the difference that was caused by the deficiency, he must pay that difference. That's Imam Shafi Rahman's view on this particular matter. Following? وعلى هذا, so based upon this difference of opinion between ourselves and him, لو غصب حنطة فطحنه أو ساجة فبنى عليها دارا أو شاة فذبحها وشواها أو عنبا فعصرها أو حنطة فزرعها ونبت الزرع كان ذلك ملكا للمالك. So based upon this, Imam Shafi Rahmani will say that if a person snatched or usurped some grain, فطحنا, he then molded it, then he crushed it, or sajatan, or you stole some wood. Sajat is a type of wood. I'm not sure if it's oak or cedar. It's a really strong wood. Normally, they normally use it to build beams and stuff like that. Something which requires a tough wood. Then, or you stole this piece of wood, فَبَنَى عَلَيْهَا أَدَارًا, and you built a house out of it, or you built a house from it. Or shatan, or you stole a goat or sheep. Shat refers to goat or sheep. He stole a goat or a sheep, فَذَبَحَا, he slaughtered it, وَشَوَّاهَا, and then he barbecued it, he fried it. Or inaban, or you stole some grapes or asada and you squeezed it into some juice. Okay? Or hintatan, or you stole some grains or zara and you planted it. Wanabata zara, and from that plantation, or from his planting of it, some crops grew out of it. This is also an example of تغيير fahish. Imam Shafi Rahman says, كان ذلك ملكا للمالك. All of these things still is in the ownership of the original owner, in the Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala. وقلنا, we say جميعها للغاصب. We say in all these examples, the item belongs to the ghasib. He becomes the owner. ويجب عليه رد القيمة, and it's compulsory upon him to return the value of the item. Why? Because in this case here, ada is not possible, neither ada kamil nor ada qasid. So therefore, we will revert to qada. And qada in this case is to pay the value of the item that you stole. You following?
It's not, it's not just the sifa that changed, huh?
Yeah, not just the sifa that changed. Everything changed about it. The asl changed completely.
So according to us, it's only the sifa, then the qada will be
correct.
Then qasir will be permissible.
Then the qasir will be correct. Yeah.
True.
ولو غصب فضة فضربها دراهم أو تبرا فاتخذ دنانير أو شاة فذبحها لا ينقطع حق المالك في ظاهر رواية. However, on the other hand, if he was to usurp some silver, فضربها دراهم, ضرب means to mint, and he minted them into daraim, into coin. He minted the pieces of silver, he melted it down, and then he minted coins on it. Or tibran, or he usurped some gold nuggets. Tibran refers to pieces of gold nuggets. فاتخذ دنانير, and he turned it into denari, gold coin, and he turned it into gold coin. Or shatan, or he stole a goat or a sheep, فذبحها, he sorted it only, he didn't cook it. لا ينقطع حق المالك في ظاهر رواية. And according to ظاهر رواية, the right of the owner has not ceased, has not come to an end. The owner has the right to take that item as is. Because in these cases, yeah, ada is still possible. Although it's in a coin form now, it still holds its value. Silver is silver, gold is gold. And the sheep, although it's dead now, it's still there whole. So therefore, there's a deficiency in the quality, you could say, not in the actual thing. So therefore, according to Zahiri riwayat, the ownership of the original owner does not cease, and he will take back his item in that state. Now follow? Understood?
Okay.
What is Zahiri riwayah? I don't know if I mentioned it before. Zahiri riwayah, Imam Muhammad Ahmad, basically, he penned the madhab. He wrote many kitabs from where we get our Masail. And based upon the discussions that him and Shaykhain used to have, and the Council of 40, Imam Hanifa Rahmatullah had a Council of 40 where they used to discuss and debate Masail. And once they agreed on something, then it was written down. So he collected all of this, Imam Muhammad Rahmatullah. So the 6 books that he wrote, he wrote more books, but there are 6 books. Those are considered to be the main source of the madhab, those 6 books. So those 6 books together are called Zahiri Riwayah. What are they? It's very easy. Jami'ul Kabir and Jami'ul Saghir. Jami'ul Kabir and Jami'ul Saghir. Then Siyarul Kabir, Sin Yara, Siyarul Kabir and Siyarul Saghir. Very easy. Jami'ul Kabir, Jami'ul Saghir. Siyarul Kabir and Siyarul Saghir. And then Ziyadat, no Ziyada, plural Ziyadat. And the last one is Mabsut. Mabsut with a ta at the end. Mabsut. Got that?
Can I just repeat the last two?
Ziyadat, Ziyadat, and Mabsut. Mim ba sin, Mim ba sin waw ta. Mabsut.
Sure.
Those 6 kitabs are called together. Collectively are called Zahiri Riwayah. Sometimes you see Nurul Idah also of his Zahir. You mentioned that he's referring to that in the kitab, that's how the masala is. You understood out there? Everything?
Sure.
Okay, inshallah, we continue from this. So just remember that qaida, right? You will only revert to qada when ada is not possible at all. But once we have reverted to qada, we will not return to ada. There's a masala coming in front, we'll discuss the second half of the masala, inshallah. Second half of that principle, inshallah. Any question?
That's for myself now.
Okay, inshallah. سبحان الله سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا